All right, the Dogs over the Gators, 34-7. It was something like we expected, but maybe the way that we got there was not quite the way we thought, or at least me. I thought Georgia did not play well today offensively in a lot of different ways. They did not capitalize on things. Stetson was too. This is the worst Stetson's played in a while, and this was an opportunity for Florida to come in and upset the Dogs. Their defense played pretty well. I thought Todd Grantham and them had a solid game plan. It was a good. Florida. I thought Florida played fine defensively. They're just not in the caliber of Georgia in terms of as a team. Stetson was 10 of 19 for two with two. The two interceptions were the problem, and that just can't happen. His run game was great, and Georgia won the game 34-7, but it was 100% because of the defense. And this defense are just going to be hard to get around for other teams. The Gators wound up with 161 yards of total run game. They only managed they actually outgained Georgia by a yard at the end of the day, and they had almost 20 something more, 22 more plays. There's a lot of stuff, so just buckle in. We got a little bit of time here together as I wrap up this game. Now, this game could be coming to an end in Jacksonville. It could just be that the talk is going to continue that the end will come in Jacksonville. We'll see. But today we've seen, ever since 2000, I would say 11, I'm reminded of how much Georgia has gotten a hold of this rivalry. And, in 11, Mark Richt came down here and he really needed to save his job. And he did with some fourth down plays and a fourth quarter run from Richard Samuel, which was just them running the ball down the Gators' throat. Obviously the huge one in 12, the game in 13 that took, lives off of Georgia fans from the way they should have won the game versus the way they did. And then the upset in 14, Gators were clearly the better team in 15, 16. And then Georgia with the blowout win in 17, a solid, 20-point win in 18, a tight one in 19. They lose last year in disappointing fashion for sure. I don't know if it was a blowout. If it was a blowout, it wouldn't have been sort of questioned in the fourth quarter the way that it was. And then this win. So I don't know how many that is for Georgia since 2011. But this thing is definitely Georgia is in a very good place with this rivalry, and you can tell the Florida fans are pissed and they're disappointed. This team now is 4-4. They look like they're headed to either the Liberty Bowl or the Belk Bowl, the Outback Bowl. I just don't. You can't ever know what the league will do. Sending them to the Outback Bowl would make sense in a lot of ways, or the Gator Bowl. I don't know if they even have a connection with the Gator Bowl anymore, but that would come back here. There's no enthusiasm right now. Dan Mullen's welcome has been worn out. It's clear Kirby Smart runs a better program. I think he's the better coach. I think the thing that was so interesting today is when you look at the two coaches, Dan Mullen clearly had a better, 2020, no question. But in the matchups of these games, Dan has beaten Kirby once as a head coach. And that was last year. Dan has scored over. I would need to go back and look, but there's no comparing the two. We can compare them, but it's not a fair comparison. So, Florida fans are upset. But let me get back to Georgia. Georgia did not play. The offense today left a lot to be desired. It was just not good enough. A fumble from Zamir, three turnovers from Georgia, 3 turnovers for the Gators. It was the Gators. Turnovers were horrific and cost them any shot of winning the game. At the half, this game was over. And, Georgia fans were there to party the whole time. After the half, you could tell you could tell 30% of the Florida fans had gone. And by, they bail out of here, man. They get out of here quick. And they're just not going to stick around. So it's been since 2016 that this stadium's been full, and we've seen a Florida win. So it's been pretty miserable here lately for the Gators ever since and Kirby could spurrier these guys' asses. That's what I would worry about if I were the Gators. Now he's already lost twice to the Gators, but he could rip off a good decade here, and before you know it, there's a lot of complaining from Florida about Georgia and the way things used to be for all the times except the 90s, basically, and the 2000s. So I just, the programs are not in the same universe. Florida does not have a quarterback right now, and Georgia probably has two. When will we see JT Daniels? I think after this performance, we're going to see him sooner than later. And when you listen to Kirby after the game, he was not pleased, and he shouldn't have been. But he also, they won the game. They just didn't play well offensively. I mean, a clean Georgia game. They win this game. What they win? They won it 34. They probably score 55 points because the offense, the first drive, you could have completely captured. You could have started strangling the Gators on the first drive of the game, miss a field goal. I'm sure they got it right on the grounding, but from where I was on the field, it looked to me like that was not grounded because he was attempting to hit someone down the field. He was definitely inside the pocket. So I don't want to get into all that. I'm probably wrong, but from my perspective, it didn't look like it was some blatant thing, and they would have gone for it on 4th and 1 there. So, and then you missed the field goal. Um, Florida. This is about as bad as I've seen Florida play offense ever, and it's because they don't have skill at quarterback, and it's because the players are not as good. It's that simple. And until they recruit better players, they're going to get their shit kicked by Georgia more often than not. And that's what this was. This wasn't rubbing your face in it, but by the half, the better team was clearly in the lead. I mean, they weren't coming back from a 24 to nothing deficit. They weren't coming back from a 10-point deficit. It just wasn't going to happen. And could Florida lose again? I don't think so. South Carolina's pretty bad. Florida State's playing better. Well, you want to talk about getting into real hot water. That would be one thing to happen. But Georgia's got to play better on offense, and it's not just Stetson. It's everybody. So I don't know. I think we're in November as of Monday, and you've got a long way. You still have a fair amount of ways to go. You have 2 full months until there's the college football playoff. Georgia can maybe lose to Tennessee up there. If they play like this, they could lose to Tennessee up there. But this defense is so difficult to deal with. Um, I'm a photographer and been so the whole time I've been at Dog Post. Last year was the only time I was in the press box. And as photographers move with the plays, and this today, you didn't need to move when Georgia's defense was on the field. Florida couldn't get first downs. I mean, it wasn't that bad. I mean, they had 20 first downs. I wonder how many they had in the first half though. They just couldn't go anywhere. Anthony Richardson, Tim Tebow, shut up. You think that's a good quarterback? Shut up, bro. You just don't feed us that line that he's good. He's not good. 12 of 22 interceptions and a fumble. He cost your Gators the game. Emory gave them a much better chance to win. 10 of 14, 112 yards. They were functional with Emory. They wouldn't have beaten Georgia with Emory either, but they wouldn't have given the ball away. Sometimes these people who played, just because you played football doesn't mean that you have the ability to speak a reality, because that's not what's happening right now. When you turn, it's just not worth watching. It makes it bad, y'all. Got to be better than that. He's good. Come on. They're just not, neither of them are unbelievable. And Florida needs a quarterback. Everybody needs a quarterback. This defense, again, Quay Walker, 13 tackles. Lewis Seen, 8. N'Kobe, 7. Adam Anderson, 7. Channing Tindall, 7. Trey Dean had a good night for the Gators, but it's not there. I mean, they have the ability to do it. The first drive for Georgia, 8 plays, 36 yards, no points. 7 play, 21 yard. I mean, Georgia was moving the ball. In the first half, Florida didn't even have 100 yards. Now, Georgia didn't either, but Georgia was moving the ball. Florida was just missed field goal. This was not a pretty game by anybody. I mean, neither of these teams really played well today. I thought Florida's defense played well for what they are. And, this is probably Todd's last year in Florida. It could be Dan Mullins. He may just leave. But, you had the missed field goal, and you had punt, missed field goal. I mean, Georgia had the ability to really strangle this game from the start, and it just took them until the last 4 minutes of the first half, and that's that's when the game was over. I've come down here enough to know that the better team almost always wins. Not usually. I don't want to hear about upsets. Shut up. They don't happen. It's rare. 1997, 2013. Did that look like 2000? Excuse me, 2014. Did that look like 2014 to you? Did I say 2007? I meant 1997. Now, 2007 was an upset, but they were, it was within a touchdown. The better team wins down here more often than not. That's why the Gators won the bulk of the 90s, and that's why Georgia's winning the last decade. Kentucky's going to win tonight, but this is going to be another Eastern Division championship for Georgia. Now, they've got better, higher aspirations and all this stuff, but 11, 12, they win it. And then you go to 17, 18, 19, it's looking like 21. I think we know who the best program in the East is, and we've known that for some time. Now, other statements. Jacksonville. If you want to keep this game down here, y'all got to do a better job. It's not good enough. It's enough already. The traffic is not as bad as it used to be. The stadium is a horrific nightmare to move around, and fans complain about it. So, and the other thing too, and this shouldn't really bother Georgia people, you can mix in saying Georgia, Florida rather than saying Florida, Georgia every time on the PA. So Jacksonville doesn't value this game to me the way that they should for what it is. This is a strong statement. This major city, you certainly don't have the Jags without Georgia, Florida. Okay, that just doesn't happen because you wouldn't have a stadium. You'd be Orlando. I mean, and what's with the water? Why does it taste so strange? What is down here going on? But in all seriousness, well, the water is kind of serious. Jacksonville has got to value this thing more than with lip service. We get down here, it's the first time in 20 years that they've changed something. They need to let us know these things well ahead of time. Why do they need to let the media know? Because we're the ones who are voicing it to thousands of people who watch these things. And if we're pissed off, why? It's got to be better. And you walk around, it's a nightmare for people getting into this game. Fans, this is the worst game every year. Same stuff. It's not changed since the 90s. It didn't change in the 2000s. You should see it. This is a premier event in American sport. And you would not know that by what's going on the periphery of the stadium, inside the stadium, and how difficult it can be to work here. Now, the working part, most people, they don't care. But it is landlocked, and there's a lot that you can't do. But it needs to be a better situation. And it's not. Something has to be better. And it's just, I don't know what to say. This would never be like this in Atlanta, and I don't think it should move from Jacksonville. But it's not good enough. It's not good enough. These are two of the top 10 programs in college football. This is one of the top events in American sport, and it's not good enough right now. It needs to be better. Jacksonville, you can lose this game. It can go away. And there are simple things that you can do that will make it better. Okay? There are. And it's just not good enough. I think having alcohol at the game is better. There's all sorts of stuff. I mean, but this game competes against the Kentucky Derby. I mean, the Masters, the Final Four, other games. Going to Sanford Stadium, I can't speak to the Swamp. Going to Sanford Stadium is easy compared to this. This is a nightmare, and it's a nightmare every single year. And it's enough. It doesn't matter who the mayor is. It doesn't get better. It's got to get better, or Georgia is right to want to just leave. That's it. And Georgia whipped Florida's ass today, so don't give me this stuff about, this is because Georgia. No, this stuff's got to be easier, man, and it's just not. And it shouldn't be hard, and it's hard here. I don't know why. This is the hardest place we come. And we do it every single year. So that's my rant on that. I'm glad that the Georgia fans and it's such an awesome event for Georgia fans. I guess Florida fans, I don't know. But it's just this is a bowl game for Georgia fans in the middle of the season. They love it. This is part of what Georgia is. But it's got to be better in the stadium. It's got to be. There's all sorts of stuff that can make it better. It's gotten better, but it's still not good enough. It's just not good enough. Gators weren't good enough today either. I know I talked a lot today about not football on the field. Georgia's going to have to play better. If they want to win this league and win the national championship, they're going to have to play better on offense. Period. It wasn't good enough today. This was one of the worst games they played this year, and they won by a lot, whatever it is. Y'all know I don't keep up with the scores because it's either you win or you don't, and it's hard for me to remember scores. 34-7, and and in many ways it could have been much worse than that. I thought Florida played okay. They're not in Georgia's universe. We'll see you over on the website.